Check this out. Some kid got in trouble and his mom tried to throw her chancla at him and she missed him. Landed on the roof. Interesting.
This video is brought to you by Sporlan. Quality, integrity, and tradition.
Does this look familiar? Did a video on this recently where we had a failed compressor. Now they're calling, complaining that they have water leaking. But what's interesting is we walk in the box, it's really cold in here, okay? It's obviously iced up, but the evaporator fan motors are running on low speed, but my condensing unit is running and the system is calling. So these evaporator fan motors should be running on high speed right now. Now they work off of a temperature differential across the expansion valve. So they sense the liquid temp on one side of the valve and the mixed liquid vapor temp on the other side of the valve, and that's what opens and closes the relay that makes the fans go high speed to low speed. So we need to look into that, but I don't know if the ice is causing it to malfunction or if this is why the compressor failed in the first place when we had to replace it 2-3 months ago. All right, so here's the test. We got it defrosted completely. All the stuff is gone. It was super thick. It was front to back all the way. We made a giant mess in here.
And of course, I'm always talking with the customer. I talk about this all the time. We want to make sure that they understand and are okay with messes. I very easily could have went and got pans, caught all the water, and then trucked it out of the walk-in, but that would have taken more time. So I always go to the customer, give them the options. And if they want to have someone come in after the fact and clean up the walk-in, which majority of the time they do, then they approve the mess, okay? And we also are paying attention to what's getting wet. If we were using coil cleaner, we wouldn't be putting, you know, liquid or water on top of their bottles and different things, okay? It's just water that fell down. So always be clear with the customer and make sure they understand what's going to happen, all while paying attention to the damage that you can do. Make sure this water isn't going to track out into the customer area. Make sure it's not going to get underneath the floor and lift it up. They don't have a walk-in freezer to worry about. So we're always aware of the situation and always keeping the customer in the loop.
Tried to clean up as much as we could, but whatever. All right, now we're going to turn this thermostat on and see if these fans speed up. They're not really speeding. Is that speeding up? I don't think so. I don't think these things are speeding up. Let's give it a minute. I think that controller or those sensors or something are messed up. Oh, there we go. There we go. So maybe it was just the ice. It's hard to say because I really don't care for these controllers and these motors. It was a really shady install. What's that about? That's weird. It slowed down. Yeah, we're going to watch it for a minute, but maybe we got something going on there. But yeah, I don't like the way these controllers are installed and all these wires going everywhere. It's really weird looking. It's weird. They're working for now, right? Like they should be. They sped back up. I've got a thermometer here. We're going to check to see calibration of that thermostat. Another thing though too, no, this isn't right. It just slowed down again. There's something going on here. The other thing I was going to bring up that I was a little worried about is I'm worried that they like shut off these fans because this doesn't shut off a solenoid. This just shuts off the coil.
So the problem with this is these evaporator fan motors turn on, but turn off, but the refrigeration circuit is still running. So the expansion valve still feeding refrigerant into it, and it starts to flood back to the compressor. Number one, it can cause freeze up situations. Number two, it can cause flood back to the compressor. Flood back to the compressor can get the oil out of the compressor. It can damage the valves in the compressor, which very well could be why we had a failed compressor on this unit a couple months back. So understanding the negative effect of having a fan switch that does not turn off the refrigeration circuit is very important. It can lead you into, you know, where the root cause could have been, you know, or how it could have happened basically.
Because, like, why was only one coil iced up here? So something that I noticed right here was looking up in here, the thermistor right here is actually out of this insulation. It should be right here. I don't know if that has anything to do with our problem here or not, but that should be like that, so that way it senses the actual liquid line, because it's looking for a differential across it. So let's see, now that I place that there, if that stops the turning on and turning off, or slowing them down and speeding up. So these things haven't shut off again since I fixed and corrected the thermistor that had come out of the liquid line. Also, I adjusted the thermostat a little bit warmer because it was set, and this is accurate, I calibrated it, so it's 40 degrees in here, and this is clicking at 40 degrees. But this was set at like 30. See, I put a pin mark where it was set at, and that's a bit cold for this walk-in. They keep lots of water products in here. It's not just beer. They keep sodas and different things like that. And they keep a lot of piss beer in here too, so that stuff will freeze. So we set it a little bit higher, and so far it's looking good. So we're gonna watch it and see what happens. I'm gonna go upstairs and check the sight glass, make sure it's clear. All right, condensing units right here. It's probably really windy. Sight glass is clear.
Understanding a clear sight glass. Okay, a clear sight glass simply means that at that point, that exact point in the system, you have a solid column of liquid. Expansion valves need to have a solid column of liquid going to them for them to operate properly. Okay, especially thermostatically controlled expansion valves. Okay, so we always need to understand what that means. If you have a refrigeration system with an expansion valve and a receiver, you need to have a solid column of liquid going to your expansion valve at all times. But it's also important to understand when a clear expansion valve can and needs to happen, or not needs, but if you have a severely iced up evaporator coil, you do not want to pay attention to the to the sight glass until you get all the ice cleared. The system needs to be operating properly and then have a clear sight glass. It's very important to understand that.
Moving heat, R22. Looks fine to me. Don't see any issues. Check this out though. I don't know if someone's having a barbecue or what. What's going on here? It smells like barbecue. It doesn't smell like a fire. It just smells like they're having a big old cookout in their backyard. Some kid got in trouble and his mom tried to throw her chancla at him and she missed him. Landed on the roof. Interesting. All right. Yeah, this guy's running. I'm not seeing anything big going on. Tripping out by all that smoke over there, but it's not coming out of the roof eaves, so it looks like it's coming on the side of the house, and it looks like it's just like lazy. It's white, it's not black, so I don't think the house is on fire. It's crazy though. Everything's good. I mean, 3:30, the clock is off, but time change just happened too, fall back, so we'll set that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the clock. I think we're okay. We'll just tell them to keep an eye on it, tell them to make sure they're... I'm thinking maybe... I don't think that those fan motors were part of the problem. I think that that thermistor just recently found... I should say, I don't think that the fan motors were part of the problem when the compressor failed. I think that the thermistor has fallen out in between, because it's been a couple months since I changed that compressor. But they have power switches for each evaporator, and they have signs on all the doors of that box on the inside and outside saying make sure the fans are on. So I think that they left the fans off on that left coil, and I think it's a hair on the cold side. So I think that is part of their problem. I think maybe someone just left the switch off. Uh-oh, maybe it's not a barbecue. They're rolling deep, man. 1, 2, 3, 4. I hear another one, 5. Huh. I don't even know how they're gonna fit that truck down there. And the smoke's already gone, it's gone. Before they even really got out of their trucks. Go figure, huh? So come back. Oh no, here we go. I just can't. Yeah, no, this ain't right. It's doing it again. And it's still calling. So, good gosh, I'm gonna have to figure out how to bypass this controller. All right, so the customer doesn't want me, again, this is low budget, right? For the same reasons that they didn't want to do a whole lot when we changed the compressor. I know, you know, whatever, here's your sign kind of a thing. But what I did was I got in here and we had a comm wire coming over here. That comm wire is the third leg for those 2-speed motors.
So I'm not a big fan of these 2-speed motors, but these particular ones, they work off of the principle that they have 3 legs, right? 3 wires going to them. You have a hot leg. In this case, these are 115 volt motors. So you have a hot leg, you have a neutral, and then you have a third hot leg. And that hot leg, basically, when power is sent through that third hot leg, it slows down the motors to a slow speed, okay? And when that power disappears, they speed up to high speed. So it uses the differential controller, and it says, hey, when there's a refrigeration effect across the expansion valve, break that hot leg, and then it speeds them up to 100%. And then when it doesn't sense that differential, it sends that hot leg to the motors and slows them down. So all that I did was break the calm line, right, or the hot leg going to both motors. Therefore, they're going to run at 100%, okay? It's not great. You know, of course, they lose their energy efficiency, but those 2-speed motors also in certain situations can cause defrosting issues, because when the coils go into defrost, they run at low speed, which is asinine, really, because you need those fan motors running at 100% when it's in defrost, because it doesn't off-cycle defrost. It needs that air running across that evaporator at full speed to try to defrost anything. So we got it disconnected for now.
All right, this relay right here the module is bad, and I bypassed it for now. I'll give the customer a quote to do a permanent repair on it, but I just bypassed it. We're going into overtime, taped it off. Basically what's happening here is, I haven't read the instructions, but just logic tells you have 2 thermistors. It senses a differential. When it doesn't sense a differential, it closes a switch and sends power to the motors and slows them down. And that was the problem. It was saying there wasn't a differential when there is. So they were running, they were on, off, on, off, on, off. And that's probably still what killed that compressor, now that I go back and see that it was intermittently doing it. It's probably been doing that for a while. It wasn't doing it the day that I changed the compressor, but it's probably just been intermittent. So now they're running on full speed all the time, all motors. So that should get them by now. And again, I don't know if this guy will let me come in and permanently get rid of all this stuff or what, but you know, I can only do what they want to pay me to do.
As we go through the process of the service call, it's interesting how my opinion can change, you know, and truly when I'm doing these videos, I'm literally just speaking my mind, and this is my troubleshooting method. I talk to myself when I'm troubleshooting, so it's really, you guys are just kind of getting a window into the way my brain works, okay? So, you know, I have a theory at the beginning. I'm working through some things, and then something happens, and my theory changes a little bit and evolves. While some of it's still true, I still believe that that motor controller was part of the problem of why the motor or the compressor had failed. But I also think that the customer had left the switch off, and I think that had a lot to do with the iced up evaporator coil too. And then in the meantime, you know, the motor slowing down to low speed certainly doesn't help things. And it certainly doesn't help when they do turn the coil back on when it tries to go into defrost. Because like I said, in defrost, these motors slow down to slow speed, which I think is the dumbest thing ever. Yes, you know, I've had people ask me, is there ways you can fix that, yeah, sure, there is. But I mean, customers typically don't want to go that far. They spent a crap ton of money on this evaporator fan motor system. Actually, I think, honestly, this customer didn't spend a penny on those evaporator fan motors. They were subsidized by the local utility, which means we all paid for it with our taxes, you know, the people that live in that area. But so, you know, going through these things and understanding the sequence of operation is so important. You know, working your way through this, paying attention to everything, and just, you know, step by step getting through it. Okay, nothing too crazy about this one. Now, I will say that this particular customer, I am done with. As far as I know, we no longer work for that customer, and it's nothing that we did. It's nothing that the customer did. It's, you know, we didn't there's no bad blood at all. Okay. Just a lot of the stuff that led up to why he didn't want to put a lot of money into this location. Well, we no longer have to service the location. And you guys can probably do the math and figure out what's going on there. Okay. So you know, hopefully I'm done with this one. I would have loved to have given him a full system upgrade, you know, get it operating the way it's supposed to, but, you know, sometimes you just can't, okay? I really, really appreciate you guys making it to the end. If you haven't already, please check out my website, HVACRvideos.com. It's a great way to help support the channel. We have merchandise available. There's other ways that you guys can support the channel via PayPal, via Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. If you're interested in purchasing any tools, you can go to truetechtools.com. You can use my offer code BIGPICTURE, one word, and that'll get you an 8% discount. I get a small affiliate, or I get a small commission when you use that discount code. And I also have affiliate links set up through them. So if you know what you're going to purchase, shoot me an email. I can generate an affiliate link and I get a little bit more of a commission. You still get to use the offer code. It's just a great way to help support the channel. It's a win-win. True Tech gets a little promotion. I get a little bump. It's nothing crazy, but it just definitely all helps, okay? Remember, I try to go live on Monday evenings, 5 p.m. Pacific on YouTube. Also go live with the HVAC Overtime crew on the HVAC Overtime YouTube channel. There's links in the show notes of this video to all that. That's Fridays, 6:05 p.m. Pacific. And yeah, that's it. Really appreciate you. And we will catch you on the next one, okay?